Okay, great.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's class, the Winsor Newton Cotman Watercolor Peonies class. My name is Tim DePack, and I am from Winsor Newton, and I'll be your moderator today. And I'll be joined by Shailene Louise, who will be your artist instructor for this class. She'll be taking you through today's class by providing you information about the products being used, showing you some watercolor painting techniques, and creating this beautiful peonies using Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor paints. As Kelly said before, if you got that, there is a sketch that was provided in the link when you signed up. Hopefully everyone has downloaded that already and is prepared to work alongside Shailene as she's going along this project. If not, the project is actually being recorded, so you can follow up with this later on after 24 hours and view the project and go at your own pace. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Shailene.
All right. Hello, everybody. You can hear me, right? I'm not muted.
Yes.
All right. So welcome. It's so good to see everybody and good to see everybody in the chat there. So today we're going to be painting a peony. So here is what we're going to be working towards today. I have with me a sketch printed out. If you have yours, on hand, you can use that as a reference, or you can just kind of freestyle it with me. I will walk you through the steps I do to just kind of paint it freehand. If you're really unsure about your drawing skills, what you can do is you can pull it up on your computer and put some watercolor paper over it and trace it. Or you can print it out, hold it up to a bright window and then put paper over it and then sketch it out. It works pretty well. But yeah, as I said, I'm just going to walk you through how I do it. So if you guys want to switch to overhead view, I'll talk you through some supplies and then we will get to sketching. So today I'm using 3 different sizes of watercolor brush. I have a size, what did I do? A size 5, 4, and 3. These are all Winsor Newton Cotman round brushes. Very versatile. I love to use round brushes for my paintings. I'm using all tube paints today. So these are all Winsor Newton Cotman watercolor paints. So I have 5 different colors today. I'm going to use, I have a lot of them on my palette that I'm not going to use, but I am going to use, let's see, I'm using cadmium yellow, sap green, ultramarine blue, and alizarin crimson. All right. If you have the Skechers pocket palette set, that's great. You can definitely use that as well. But I kind of just prefer to use tube paint that's on a larger surface for mixing. It's kind of my go-to way to do things. So I have over here, what is this? This is Winsor Newton cold press paper that I cut down to 7 by 10. My printout is a little bit larger than what I'm going to sketch out, but that's okay. It's easy to see. So I had a lot of people saying just over Instagram and just in the chat last week that they were kind of intimidated by this painting. And I just want to encourage you, it's not the easiest painting, but it is so doable. And it's kind of a monotonous process. But if you can kind of get this technique down, you're going to be able to pull this off so well. So I just want to encourage you guys, just try your absolute best and don't give up, okay? Or just stick with me. I think you're going to surprise yourself. So the way that I'm going to sketch this out is I start by just kind of looking at the shape of it. So notice that this is not a circular floral shape. It is kind of more of an oval, right? We just have a few simple leaves down here. But the most tricky part is going to be getting all these petals right. So just pay attention to the shapes of these petals. Notice how they all kind of, for the most part, besides some of these outer ones, but for the most part, all these inner petals, they're all kind of having the same shape, just kind of maybe like a little bit of a round upward shape. Some of them are a little bit more lumpy than others, and some of them are smaller than others, but they all generally have kind of the same shape. So that's going to help us just think about it that way. And then also just be mindful that this flower is not facing forward, it's facing away. That was a bad way to do that, but the flower is facing upwards. So that's affecting the direction that these petals are going. So I'm going to start by just getting loosely, just kind of placing my flower. I'm just using a regular old pencil today. I like to use F pencils typically, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So this pencil is a little bit darker. So I'm just going to get my stem placed. I like to start by just drawing some kind of wispy lines before I commit to anything too hard.
Shailene, I'm just going to let everybody know so they're in advance that you will be writing a little bit harder on the paper. That's so everybody in the audience can see the design. Whereas if you're at home, of course, you're going to go a little bit lighter on your sketch because you're right in front of your paper for yourself to see it. So she's doing this for visuals.
Yes.
So see it.
Yes. Yeah, typically I draw quite lightly because it just helps to erase afterwards. And sometimes I'm not able to erase everything perfectly. So the lighter you go, probably the better. Okay, so I'm just going to draw my little leaves here. This leaf right here is the most interesting shape. Just notice it kind of goes straight at the top, kind of goes upwards and then curves down to the point. And let's go back up here and meet back at that line. And notice how it kind of overlaps our stem. You can erase that stem just there so we have the impression that the leaf is in front. And then I have one more leaf that's going off back here and has a little bit of a curve. So just kind of draw a little line going down and then a line back to connect to the back part of that leaf. Make sense? And then I'm just going to draw some center veins down the center of each of these leaves. And then some lines going off to the right and to the left. They don't need to be perfect. Mine are usually kind of sketchy looking. And we'll define all that later. Okay, so let's get to the the challenging part. So I'm going to start by just drawing the center. Notice how my stamen is kind of just a squiggly line. So just start by drawing that shape, and it's maybe like 2/3 of the way up, about halfway, 2/3. Kind of a round shape. Okay. And then I'm going to start by just drawing some of these petals that are behind the stamen, right above it. So notice how they start kind of small, and then they get a little bit bigger, and they get even bigger behind. So just keep them kind of inconsistent. I don't want them all to look exactly the same. We don't want them to look like bricks. You know what I mean? Like we don't want them to look too gridded. Just keep it kind of loosey-goosey. And as I said, just start getting a little bit bigger. Mine is not the exact same as my sketch by any means. Every single time I've sketched it, I practiced it yesterday, and it was totally different than this sketch. So I'm sure this one's going to be a little different too. All right, so I want to take a look at these petals. Look at these petals here. Let's see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals that I've made that are curling inward. And so just notice it's just kind of like one line. It looks like just a regular shaped petal. And then I have this line right in front of it that's curling inward. So I'm just going to demonstrate how I'll do that technique. So just a petal and then a line right in front of it that is folding inward. Easy enough, right? I'm going to keep going with some of these back petals. Let's draw these 2 petals here that are both curling inward just a bit. And I am fairly confident that if you can just kind of keep your hands relaxed here, don't try and make it too perfect. I feel like you're going to be really happy with how this turns out. All right, a couple more big petals back here. And I'm going to start working on some of these petals that are just on this bottom part. So underneath the stamen, I'm going to start with just these little guys here. And they kind of have that same shape. They're just kind of like hill shapes. These petals here, notice that all three of these have a little bit of that curve inward. So let's do that again. So it's just the shape of a regular petal and then another line right above it. Let's do this petal right here.
So Shailene, would you say that the peony looks like it has the most petals, I think, out of any flower that
yeah,
created so far?
It does. It does. Just try your best, guys. I know this is probably a little bit more challenging than some of my other paintings. So just stick with me. And if you're just like, oh my gosh, I want to crumble this up, just go print out the sketch and trace it real quick. Or just try your best and then try again tomorrow. But this is a really important skill to learn. I really think this is so important if you want to paint detailed botanicals. Learning how to sketch them out is a really important skill. So I want you guys to challenge yourself, to grow, just to push yourself, even if it doesn't look amazing the first try. All right, so last couple petals here. These are the big ones. These are the easiest ones. And
so that's
then
great. If anybody here is trouble on this, the replay for the video, 24 hours, go back. We could watch this again and work alongside with you.
And I will just say, I remember some of my first attempts at drawing roses or peonies freehand were way off. I still have some photos of them, not here with me, but I just got better and better as time went on. But just look closely at your sketch and look back. And just take some observation. I think that's the most important part. So what I just did there is I was just kind of erasing some of my little sketchy lines that I don't need. And I'm in a good spot. So I'm going to get started. So let's see here. So my first step is going to be, I'm just going to grab one of my brushes here. I'm going to grab my size 5. And I'm going to pull my sketch out of frame. As Tim mentioned, you have this when you signed up for the class. So if you need to keep that in frame, just print it out or pull it up on your computer. Please do so. And let me pull this in just a little bit tighter here. So I just have some water here, a little paper towel for blotting. And I'm going to start by getting a little bit of cadmium yellow going here. And I'm going to start by just drawing the center stamen. So that kind of squiggly area, let's just make that center just a strong yellow color. And we're going to let that dry. Okay. So now I'm going to do, so this part of the painting process, I call this doing underwashes. So I'm doing basically the lightest color of the entire painting. And then I'm going to go in and start adding detail slowly. So let's mix some cadmium yellow and sap green. So it's going to be a very warm mixture here. Very warm green mixture. And once you have a good amount of color here, and I want this to be kind of watery, on the watery side, go ahead and, again, this is a size 5 brush. Okay, I thought it was a smaller one. Size 5 brush. You can use whatever brush you want though. Sometimes people will find this to be a little bit easier with your bigger brush or your smaller brush. Since I'm covering a lot of space really quickly, it is probably better to use a larger brush. And I'm just doing an even layer of color on all of my leaves. Okay, paint your stems. All of this is just going to be the same color for now. More or less the same color. Just trying to keep that mixture flowing. Okay. And depending on where you are in the country, what the weather is like for you today, how hot it is, how sunny it is, your painting is going to probably dry at different speeds than mine. I live in New Mexico, and so it's a very sunny day. So, and I also have my ceiling fan on, so my layers are probably going to dry a little bit quicker. But always just be mindful of, making sure your paint's dry before you do the next step. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some Alizarin Crimson. Here's where it is on my palette, but I'm not going to do any color mixing. I'm just doing pure Alizarin Crimson, same size brush. And I'm just going to paint the entire flower the same color. The larger brush you use and the more water that is in your bristles, the more quickly this paint is going to flow. The smaller brush you use and the less water, it's going to take you a long time. So just make sure you're using a larger brush and make sure your mixture is very watery. So some of the steps I'm doing today are going to be a little bit on I think I mentioned it earlier, but a little bit monotonous. If you were here for the Mother's Day bouquet painting we did last week, or if you've watched that tutorial, that was a kind of a fast pace. There was kind of always some other color we were mixing, always moving on to the next flower, the next step. This one is going to be more like, all right, now we work on the flower for 10 minutes, doing the same thing. So this is going to be a very, in my mind, very peaceful, kind of therapeutic. Monotonous to me just sounds like peaceful. I'm like, okay, I like to just do the same step over and over. It's very calming. And I hope you find it to be that.
Shailene, when you get done with that bottom portion of the petals, can you bring in your original real quick and just show it on the screen side by side and people can really see how it's starting to take the colors on?
Just holding up this one, you mean?
The finished piece that you have there.
The finished piece, yeah.
Yeah, just to show them how it's coming together there with the colors.
Sure will. One sec. All right, so I'm just making sure some of these spots are a little bit darker than others. So I'm just gonna drop a little bit extra color. Okay, so here's the one from yesterday. If I can grab it. So there's a lot of building form in this, isn't there?
Beautiful.
You see there's a lot of So there's some very light pink and some very dark pink. So we're really trying to build form and dimension with color value. So dark pink and light pink. But this one's going to look a little bit different today, I think. I painted this flower just a little bit darker than I did yesterday's. So this one's going to be more of a bold pink, just a little bit. So let us now, we're going to start building some form. So right now it's kind of one-dimensional somewhat. You know, we wouldn't want to just end here. So I'm going to now mix some.
I think we had Shailene's video freeze.
Yeah, it looks like she's frozen for the moment. Let's see if we can connect her. Oh, there we go.
Sap green. Is it still frozen?
It's a little choppy.
Bummer. Let me know if I need to switch to like, what's it called? Wi-Fi. I can switch off my Wi-Fi and just go to like cellular data.
Seems to be a bit better now.
I think it came back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start. Oh yeah, I can see it's kind of pixely on my computer. I'm going to start just dropping a little bit of darker color just underneath the flower itself. And then let's smooth that out. So I'm using a different brush. And again, these are sap green with a little bit of ultramarine blue. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just paint it on this back leaf. I'm just going to darken this back one. Actually, yeah, that looks really nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and layer that on. Same thing over here on this side. So this is about 70% sap green, 30% ultramarine blue. So it's just making it a tiny bit cooler. If you feel like if you feel like you want to just use pure sap green, you don't have to do all the fancy mixing I do. I'm kind of addicted to mixing colors. I don't know why. It just makes it a little more fun. So I'm dropping that color on the stem, just kind of over here on the left side of it.
It's good because you're getting the color that you want. That's what's a great part
exactly. About yeah, it's fun because I'm very particular about the colors I use, and so I'm able to really dial it in. And I love sap green. I think it's a beautiful color in its pure form. But sometimes I'm just feeling something a little warmer. Sometimes I'm feeling something a little cooler. All right, so I'm going to paint this front leaf. I'm going to keep this one just a teeny bit lighter than this back leaf. So I just dipped it in my water really quickly. And then I just got a slightly more desaturated version of this color, which is kind of neat little trick. So just dip it in, desaturate the color.
Those leaves look so fresh, like they just came up in the morning.
They do. It's very green. Yeah, usually actually on Zoom, it's kind of hard to really convey how vibrant the colors are, but they actually look pretty true to what I'm seeing as well, which is awesome. All right, so let's go back to our flower. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch. Let's see, I'm going to keep using these two brushes for now. So this is the size 5 and the size 4. And I'm just going to go back to my Alizarin Crimson puddle over here that you can't see, but trust me. So Alizarin Crimson. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at these little petals and look for spots where it would make sense for them to be a little bit darker. So basically, whenever there's an overlap of two petals, I'm going to drop some color. And I'll hold this up for you so you can see what I'm saying here. I also am going to drop some just on the front side, just in the very middle of these little guys. And then what I do is switch brushes, and I'm going to use a damp, clean brush. So I just dipped it in water, blotted it on my paper towel, and then I'm going to use that edge to just gently feather that color upward. If it gets too dry, just do that same technique again. Just dip it in the water and blot it. And smooth out those little blobs of water. Those little spots where I just dropped the really strong color. And see how that just really nicely kind of creates that gradient in those petals. So that's the start. And now we just do this for 100 different petals. I told you it's going to be a little bit monotonous, this process. And then after I do this whole thing, I'm going to come back and do it again later. So there's a kind of cost to painting really detailed botanicals. It takes some time. It takes patience. It takes slowing down. You kind of just got to get into your creative zone. It's so fun, though. It is so satisfying to me.
Shailene, what size of the brush are you using right now? Is that the 4?
Size 5 to
Size
drop
5.
color, and then a size 4 to smooth it out. Experiment though. If you want to try dropping it with a 4 and then using the 5 to smooth out the color, that would work as well. I think it all comes down to finding out what you feel most comfortable with when it comes to brushes and sizes and water control and all that. It just takes some practice and experimenting.
Would you say that would even depend on the size of the flower itself that you're painting, right? So
Totally.
smaller scale,
Absolutely.
much smaller size brush then.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're using this, if you're painting something really, really large, you're going to want to use a big brush. But yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. So hopefully your sketch should probably be pretty similar in size to what I'm doing. I'm guessing, more or less. Okay. So basically I'm just dropping wherever it looks like there would be a natural shadow. A mistake I used to make when I first started painting was that I used to draw my shadows with black paint. I thought that shadow was just kind of a shade of gray or black. But usually if you look in nature, you'll just see that shadow is just a darker value of whatever color you're already seeing. So in the case of this flower, it's just a darker, stronger pigment of the same color.
Shailene, I was just going to let you know it's 1/2 the hour, so just to give you a time check on there.
Cool.
And also to let everyone know that's watching that the class is being recorded, and 24 hours after it is complete, you will be able to go onto the Michaels YouTube channel or michaels.com and replay this video. We can drop the link in the chat for you to reference that later on down the road. So if you're painting alongside with her, you can continue, but if you're following and watching at your convenience, you can go back and watch this replay again.
All right, oops, I just switched. See, sometimes I without even thinking about it, I'll end up just switching brushes and I'll just use my brush I used for smoothing to drop color. It happens all the time. But it's kind of nice because these two brushes are very similar in size. So they're somewhat interchangeable. But yeah, if I was using like a size 6 and a size 1, I probably couldn't pull that off. So hopefully you're kind of getting the feel of that. Takes a little bit of practice to get this technique down. Just using one brush to drop it down, one brush to smooth it out. I used to use just one brush to do all of it, which is possible, but I would end up rinsing off my color every 30 seconds, which was probably not the best way to do it. So let's take a look at this petal here. Remember how we have these few petals that are folding inward? I want you to be mindful to not paint the part that's folding back, not right now, but just paint the inner parts of that petal. So we want the inner part of the petal to be a little more in shadow, and that part's going to be a little bit more in the light.
The flower's really starting to come to life. You could start to see the depth, like looking into the flower there from above.
Isn't that fun? I love to see it come to life. I've never done archaeology, but for some reason I've always like thought about archaeology when I paint, like Jurassic Park, when they're like brushing off the dirt from the dinosaur bones. That's kind of how I think of painting, is like archaeology. You're just kind of digging for old dinosaur bones or old, ancient ruins and slowly seeing it come to life. But it takes patience. Don't move too quickly. It's such a fun process. I just love it. Okay. So just keep it going. These outer petals, we do the same thing. Drop some pink paint and then smooth it up towards the outer parts of the petal, making sure to keep the ends a little bit lighter. Got to get that gradient. Okay, so same technique on this petal here. This is one of the ones that's folding inward, so I'm just painting the inside of it. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're like looking at yours and you're like, this is not looking right, just stick with it. I think you might surprise yourself. It's happened to me many times that I've been working on a painting and just been like, I don't know where this is going. But if I just stick with it, I'm often able to, surprise myself and come up with something that is at least a little better than what I thought it was going to be. And that's all we want, right? Just be a little bit better than we were yesterday. Just grow just a little bit. Even if you aren't happy with your painting today, I promise you, you're not going to be a worse painter by the end of this class, okay? It's all about baby steps. So working on these petals on the front side here. If you make a mistake and you bring too much color too quickly to your painting, you can just use a paper towel and quickly blot it. And you should be able to just lift out that color. Paper towels are great tools. Great tools for cleaning up messes. Okay, this petal here that's curving inward, I'm going to remember just paint the inner side a darker color. And this is actually nice to use the smaller brush. When you're doing little detail parts like that, you definitely want to use a smaller brush because it's more detailed and you have a little more control. And I'll smooth that because that right there is a petal. So I want all my petals to be nice and smooth. Another thing you can do is, instead of just doing one petal at a time, if you want to work just a little bit faster, you can drop color on a few petals at once. And then use your smoothing brush to smooth out all three of those at once. What's nice is that even if it starts to dry a little bit, using a wet brush or damp brush, I should say, it'll kind of reactivate that color. So you're still able to manipulate it and move it around on your paper just a little bit. So I use a brush to apply color and then one brush to smooth it out. And that brush is just a little bit damp. So it's not sopping wet. If it was sopping wet, I would not be able to do this. This brush can only be damp. It can't be dry. It can't be wet. It has to be damp for you to be able to smooth that color like that. All right, the inner parts of these petals, just make sure to make them a little darker here. My Alizarin Crimson mixture is getting kind of dried out, so I'm just re-wetting that over here, reactivating that color.
As you're laying those colors in, I'm going to let everybody know I'm going to put some information in the chat where we would really love to see your finished work afterwards, and Shailene would love to see it as well. So we're going to drop some hashtags in over there if you'd like to share with us to see it. Those are in the chat box on the side over there. And also, I'm going to give you a way if you'd like to connect with Shailene on through her website or through Instagram. I'm going to put her information in the chat as well for everyone to see.
This is definitely starting to come to life a little here. So these petals that are on the back here that are folding, so let's see here, they're kind of like this. Well, this is a bad demonstration, but they're kind of this shape, right? They're kind of like rounding like this. So I want you to make the back side of the petals, like the bottom part, just a little, put a little bit of color there, and then let's smooth it upward. So it's the same technique as what we were doing over here, but I just want you to be mindful of the shape of these petals. So let's make the back side, just give it a little bit of color, and that's going to help create a rounded effect so that it looks like these petals are curling inward towards the center. Let's do the same thing on this petal here. And also just another little thing I'll mention, if you're kind of struggling and you feel like you're maybe falling a little bit behind, as Tim mentioned, this is going to be a replay. So you can watch this. Some of you are probably already watching this on YouTube like 5 months from now, but watch this and you can pause it as much as you need to and just go at your own pace. And sometimes I find it really helpful just to watch somebody else's techniques and then try to apply it instead of trying to maybe do it simultaneously. So watch, and then try. That might be a little more of a better pace to go, but. Okay, so just a couple more things I'm going to do here. Drop some color on the back of that one, smooth it out, and then I just have a couple more large petals to do. I'm actually a lot more happy with this painting than I was with the one I did yesterday. So just remember that. Even I didn't like how mine turned out that much yesterday. So maybe if you're not loving yours today, try again tomorrow. I find that if I rush it, I don't love how it turns out as much. I much prefer to paint at a more leisurely pace. Very last petal for now. And if you're painting with me today in real time, I want you to pause from your flower real quick. You can come back to it. But let's jump over back to the leaves real quick. So this is going to be the part where I really start to add the final detail to the petals, or sorry, the leaves. And I'm going to use the size 4 brush. I'm going to go back to my mixture here of sap green and a little bit of ultramarine blue, just a dab. And I'm going to just drop a little bit of that dark color here. I'm going to drop a little bit of color just underneath this leaf. It makes sense that there'd be a little bit of shadow there to me. See, doesn't that make it give it a little dimension just immediately? I love it. Let's drop a little bit of darker green on the back side of this leaf. I'm going to use my smoothing brush to pull that color inward a little bit. Smooth out these color lines. I'm going to drop some dark green on the part of this leaf that's curling away. So that kind of gives the impression that that tip of that leaf is in shadow just a bit. Let's drop a little bit of extra color over here on the furthest left part of this leaf. Then I'm going to smooth that out with my damp, dry, or sorry, my damp, clean brush, not dry, damp, clean brush. A little bit more color here. All right, so I think it's time for some final details for my leaves. So this is the size 3 brush. So I'm just grabbing the smallest brush I have on hand. Let's go back to that same mixture.
That's a little bit darker than the original, right? Because you were at 70-30.
Yes, and this part here, I'm using, I don't want to grab too much water here. I want this to be kind of like a syrupy mix, because the less water that's in this mixture, the more control I'm going to have as I'm doing this technique here. So using my smallest brush and using a mixture that has much less water, I am going to just go along that center vein and just draw some lines out to the right and left. And do the same technique down the center of this leaf, and we'll just do it on each one of them. I love doing these final details. They just bring it to life, don't they? Make sure your leaves are super dry as you're doing this too. If they need another minute to dry, just give it a minute and come back and do this. You'll find that if this is too wet, it's going to take that color and just bleed it. But as I mentioned, my paint is drying very quickly today. Okay. I think that is where I'll stop for my leaves, but I am not finished with my flowers. I'm very close though, very close. We actually are making good time today. I'm proud of myself.
We're 15 minutes to the top of the hour. So
awesome. That's good.
Close.
Usually I'm like, oh my gosh, hurry.
Very good pace today.
Yeah, it's a nice pace. So I'm going to grab a little bit of, this is what is this called? Burnt sienna. So I'm grabbing a little bit of burnt sienna with that same brush, size 3. So I just want this kind of orangey color. And what I'm going to do is just draw some little kind of, let's call them little specks in the center of your stamen, the center of your flower. But make sure there's still some yellow shining through. I don't want to cover it. I just want to give it some different tones. Easy enough, huh? Let me hold this up for you in just 1 second so you can see how that looks. And that is burnt sienna.
Very nice.
Okay, so I'm going to do one last pass at my flower. It honestly is looking pretty close to being finished, so I'm not going to do too much more to it, but I like to throw in a little more color than is necessary. So I'm going to grab my Alizarin Crimson. Let me just go ahead and show you my mixture here. So Alizarin Crimson with with, let's do a little bit of that ultramarine blue. So I want like a purplish tone, but I'm going to be very, very careful with how much of the purple. I don't want to be too purple. So just a little bit of ultramarine blue, but mostly alizarin crimson, okay? All right, so I'm taking a second here because I really want a strong, strong color. So I am really kind of activating this color. I want a bunch of pigment here. I don't want this to be too watery. I want it to be strong, strong color. Okay, so final details here. I want to just add some drama. So I'm going to kind of look just, I don't know, I kind of just take inventory, look at some spots where it would make sense for there to just be some deeper color. So basically just where there's some overlap in petals. And I'm going to do that technique I mentioned earlier where I just drop some color and then I come back with my damp brush. And see, even that looks pretty cool, doesn't it? It just gives it that extra layer of detail. So damp brush, damp clean brush. Let's go and just smooth those lines out.
Someone was asking in the chat, will you be erasing the pencil marks afterwards on this? Is that something you would
Yeah, I think, yes, absolutely. So sometimes I don't during my live classes, only because I don't have enough time to make sure that my painting is totally dry. But we got some margin today, so I might end up being able to erase it. But if I don't, and if, yeah, just so you know, just give it time to really, really dry and then erase, okay? And you're not gonna be able to erase, I'm not gonna make any promises here. You're not gonna be able to erase every single little tiny bit of pencil, and just embrace it. I think it's cool. It shows that it was painted by hand, and I think it's cool. But you're actually gonna be able to erase more than you think, so no worries, especially if you're using an F pencil. Like I told you is my favorite type of pencil to use for watercolor paintings. If you're using an F pencil, you're going to be able to erase a lot. If it's just a click pencil or a #2 pencil, it's a little harder. So I'm just going around some of these petals, just adding that extra touch of dark color. And I would definitely love to see what you guys create. So if you post on social media, please tag me at Shailene Louise so I can see it. And I'm actually about to take a maternity leave because I am getting pretty close to having a baby. So I'm gonna take a break from teaching for a while, but get on my newsletter there at shailenelouise.com/subscribe, and I'll let you know as soon as I got another class in the works.
And while Shailene's away, you can also check on the YouTube channel and go back and reference some of the previous classes that she's done as well.
Got a bunch of them now.
Yeah.
It's like 12, 13, 14.
Yes. You're getting a lot of congratulations in the.
Oh, thank you. It's hard for me to watch the chat while I'm painting, but I appreciate it. I'm always able to scroll through for just a second at the very end. But thank you so much. Yeah, we're kind of, before we started this class, I was talking to Kelly and telling her that my husband and I are probably about to move, which is kind of nuts to try and do this like right before I have a baby, but it's just kind of one of those things. It's just timing, you know? So yeah, think about me in the next couple of weeks. It's gonna be kind of crazy. All right, I am in the home stretch here. And I'm really happy with how this one's turning out.
Still a lot more congratulations coming in. Some people say, make sure you come back.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you guys so much.
And that's great because you have all your handles up there on the top. We encourage everybody while you're away, still check out your website and connect with you and see the things that are going on there. And then that way they can take advantage of when you come back that you'll be posting on there when your next class is in the future, so they can be aware of when you'll be back on the screen.
Yep. Instead of hearing my barking dogs, you'll hear our crying baby. It's going to be so fun. All right, so I'm going to pause there with my painting because I don't want to overdo it. I did say I wanted to try and erase this before we're done. So what I'm going to do is I want everybody to be bold, and I want everybody to make sure your camera is on and show me how your painting's looking. And we can do like a grid view so I can see all the paintings really quickly. So I'm gonna set that aside. So if we could switch to my overhead view.
And everybody hold them up for a little bit because there's a couple pages that we're going to have to cycle through to take a look. So we want to make sure we get everybody's on there.
Oh my goodness, these look amazing. Wow. So many different styles. I love it. These look gorgeous. Yep, these are beautiful. Oh my goodness. Wow. Some real talent in this crew. These look great. Oh my goodness. I'm so proud.
There's a lot of great work. Wow.
And if you're trying to see all of them too, just be sure to click on gallery view and you should be able to look through all of them as well.
Great job, everyone. I highly encourage everyone, post these with the hashtags that we had on the side. I'm sure there's a lot of other people who haven't taken the class yet that would love to see how your paintings have come out and be very encouraged to watch the videos as well.
Yep, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. It's just, you guys are also encouraging. Always so encouraging. And I love to hear too that people are always answering in the chat like questions really quickly. It's a good group of people. Okay, so I am going to try and erase this. Let's switch to overhead view one more time. So here we go. Like I told you, I used like basically a number 2 pencil, so I'm not gonna be able to erase all of it perfectly. And this is, I would usually give this another couple minutes, but whatever. I'm just gonna go for it. I think this is pretty dry. So yeah, I'm able to erase like a pretty good amount. I'm happy with that actually. So I always just want to especially get the outer edges of the flower where you can see like where the petals are still really light. That's the part I always try and make sure I can erase to some degree at least. And then the parts where I added the really dark color, it doesn't even matter as much. You can't even really tell because the paint is going to cover it.
Are you using any type of special eraser in order to erase that, or is that just a typical?
I think it's a gum type of eraser, but anything you use should work pretty well. I like to use the gum erasers. My actually, it's funny. My grandparents, they were both painters on my dad's side, great grandparents. But I guess these are the ones they used like 100 years ago. So I think that's kind of cool, keeping that legacy going. But they work well. They create a lot of debris though. So just make sure you are ready to vacuum soon. Okay, so that feels pretty good. I don't want to mess too much with the middle because there's probably still a little bit of moisture in there. I'm going to use just this dry paintbrush to swipe off those colors. Okay, so let me hold that up for you.
Beautiful. Wow, that's amazing.
So I'll just hold up yesterday's too, because why not? Kind of a different look, right? It's different every time. think I like the colors of this one a little more. It's a little more pink. So there you have it. Thank you guys so much. This was a great class.
Yeah, it was great.
And-
Let everybody know
and-
that you're going to be getting a survey will come in your email. Please rate us, everyone that's part, Shailene, myself, and Kelly. Thank you, Kelly, so much for helping us out as well on this. Also, feel free in the comment section on the survey when you come back, if there's anything that you guys want to see, maybe that we want to talk to Shailene about for future classes, like different topics and stuff like that, different flowers. We're always open to suggestions of other ones that people out there would be wanting you to see how you create them and then recreating them for you as well if they're. So please comment back on that as well. Great.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.